Hello, ladies and gentlemen YouTube. I'm Alias Games, I'm your host here today, and what we're talking about in today's video is all of the changes, new blocks that they've introduced to Minecraft for the Microsoft platforms, Sony platforms, and Nintendo platforms yesterday and today. And we have a good bit to go over, which is actually pretty nice for today's video. So let's go ahead and get started here. So we're going to go ahead and start off with the wool. So I haven't been playing a whole lot of Minecraft as of lately, so this doesn't look too different to me. But what they've done is they've updated the colors of the wool a little bit on all the different colors. They've changed it. They've made them a little bit more distinct, although orange and yellow look pretty close, but you can definitely tell which one is orange. And like I said, this doesn't look super different to me, but it does look rather nice, especially when you consider that we're on the default texture pack here for today's video. And if you play a decent amount of creative, if you play around with wool, you probably notice a little bit of a difference. And it does look pretty nice. And they did the exact same thing for the wool carpets and banners. So let's go ahead and look at the banners here. Like I said, doesn't look crazy different to me because I haven't been playing a whole lot recently. But they do look very nice nonetheless. All these actually look pretty nice, and I would actually enjoy seeing a lot of these on some really nice builds, especially probably in like the city texture pack. They probably look even better. That's my personal favorite texture pack, at least. And the next thing we're going to get to here is the concrete blocks. Let me actually go ahead and break these real quick. Those were just some concrete blocks from another thing, but all the concrete blocks they've added in, these are all brand new, and they look exceptionally well, especially, like I said, when you consider that we're in the default texture pack here. They look very, very nice. I can't wait to see what kinds of things people do in their like city builds, especially in a city texture pack. I'm sure these look absolutely incredible. And just multicolored concrete, just how smooth it looks. There is a little bit of a texture to it if you look real close at the black especially. But it looks very smooth, very nice, very crisp and clean. And I think these are phenomenal blocks to add in. And we actually have concrete powder here. So you make concrete powder and then concrete. You make concrete powder by adding gravel and sand along with any color dye that makes, you know, the following or the corresponding color for the concrete. So that's how you make the concrete dust or concrete blocks. And what you go ahead and do in order to actually make concrete out of them when you're not in creative mode, obviously, is you go ahead and you pour a water bucket down on those, pick it up, and the water will turn it into concrete. There's no time required. It just kind of instantly changes it. So don't be messing around near any concrete dust with your water buckets. You will accidentally turn it into concrete. But good news, if you liked the way that the kind of essentially colored sand looked, if you want to use that outside around buildings, that kind of stuff, you can do that as long as you don't put water on it. It's fine. If it rains, it's fine. It doesn't turn into concrete unless you put water on it, or, you know, you're near a mountain and you blow a part up and water flows out. But water actually, like an actual source of water, has to flow onto it. It can't just be rain. So that's pretty nice. And like I said, they do look really nice. And the next change we have here is glazed terracotta blocks. So these are just the normal terracotta blocks, except you bake them in a furnace. And they're called glazed terracotta blocks. These are all the normal colors, and it's just what they come out as once you've baked them. They look pretty cool. I think mostly these are going to be useful for like interior design, that kind of stuff, within houses, within cities, lobbies, for offices, that kind of thing. They're not going to be super useful unless you get real fancy and like a survival for decoration. And they're not even going to be that useful for like outside for structural kind of construction. It's really just a decorative block, I think. But they do look pretty nice. This one's a little bit odd. It's just an arrow, and this one's just a creeper face in a couple different orientations. But they do look pretty good nonetheless. And the next change I want to show you guys is they've introduced iron nuggets. So the way that you get iron nuggets, and the reason that they're useful, go ahead and take the blaze rod out of the chest here, throw it in a furnace, and you'll notice that I have an iron pick. So any iron tools or any iron armor, you can go ahead, throw in the ingredient slot, and obviously it doesn't have to be a blaze rod, just any fuel. Throw it in a furnace, and what you'll get is an iron nugget. So these are useful. You get 9 of them, turn them into an iron ingot. And it's not the biggest return on your iron tools or your iron armor, obviously, but if you're going through a decent amount of tools, still looking for good diamonds, that kind of stuff, and you get to the point where they're almost broken, you can go ahead and throw those dance tools in here, get a little bit of a return on your resources being spent on your tools and your armor. So it is kind of a nice change. It's a small thing, like I said, not crazy useful, but it will help. And then we have another change. We got the Skulker box item. So let me go ahead and actually find that here. Or the Skulker shell, rather, is the item. And it's sometimes dropped by Skulkers, or Shulkers, rather, and can be used to craft a Shulker box. So these are Shulker boxes. What they do is essentially they act like a chest would. There's actually emerald ore in that one for some reason. I don't remember placing it, but there are shulker boxes, and they're basically chests, but they're not just a fancy chest with this nice little animation. They actually have a function to them. So this one has a diamond chest plate in it. You go ahead, break that. We have it. We can place it down, and when we place it, you can actually see there's a diamond chest plate in there. And if I go ahead and do this, you can actually see underneath the description of the box, it says what is in it. So essentially you can break this, keep it in your inventory, run around, move your entire inventory, whole bases with you, and then you can go ahead, place it down, and it'll still be in there, which is really nice. It doesn't matter what you have in there, as long as it fits, obviously. You can break it, and it'll keep its inventory. You can take it with you, and you can place it down. It's really actually really quite nice that they did that. And there's a couple more things in here. There's a whole lot that we've gone over, but there's a couple more little changes. So the main one that I want to show to you guys is the pick block. So I'm going to go ahead and actually use concrete as an example. So when you go into your options, they've actually gone ahead and you go into the controls, and we can now make our own custom control schemes, which is very nice. But that's not too important to me. I don't mind the control scheme as it is. But one thing they did add, which is super nice, is the pick block. So by default, the pick block is set on none. I actually set it already. But I go ahead and click this. It says press any button, or press, the main pad to cancel. Oh, that went down a little bit. But you go ahead and press down on the D-pad, which is what I had it set to already. And now down on the D-pad, when we look at one of these blocks, we go ahead, hey, and it puts it in an inventory, which is really, really going to be nice for those of you that actually make creations, like in the creative mode, that actually do that a lot, that make cities, that make really big builds like I used to do back when I still had an Xbox One rather than PS4. I built a lot, and this tool would have really come in handy on these mega builds. Definitely going to help the creative community out for YouTube, and just, like I said, if you just like making them, you don't have to make videos, obviously, for this tool to be useful to you. And the last thing that I want to show you guys, we'll go ahead and give ourselves a stack of arrows and a bow, and we have this little side slot, and this works for arrows and for maps. So go ahead, shoot this, and it's just kind of off to the side there. Other than the fact that we don't have to use like a standard slot for it, I don't see this being super useful for the arrows. But it is, I guess, a nice little thing. Like I said, it saves us some inventory space, so we can go ahead and do that. But the thing that I like about it is you go ahead and throw a map in there, and it pulls it up, and it doesn't matter if you have a weapon, if you're using a sword. Actually, the sword is an even better example, because when you pull out a sword and you swing it around, the map is still there, and it's kind of nice. So with the arrow, it drops it down, because when you're trying to shoot a bow, you really need to see. But up close and personal, you're not going to lose track of your target, obviously. And you can just kind of swing around. Obviously, you can take this out of your little slot if it being there annoys you a little bit. But this is actually going to be really very helpful in exploring your survival worlds. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this video. Like I said, I am Alias Games. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys learned something from this. I'm going to be live streaming Minecraft actually every day, mini games, and I'm going to have a survival world that I'm starting up just for this series. And I'm going to be streaming at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, US. That's 5 p.m. for the UK, and 9 a.m. for the West Coast of the US. And like I said, it's going to be a live stream series I do for maybe an hour or so every single day, weekdays, weekends, just every day at noon. And I hope I see you guys there. But, like I said, that's going to be it for this video. My name is Alias Games, and I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Goodbye.